200 meters beneath the ocean surface, sunlight fades into a blue-gray haze called the twilight zone. Here, between 200 and 1,000 meters deep, light thins to almost nothing, and survival depends on a single, ruthless rule: do not be seen. In this dim water drifts a creature you would struggle to notice even if it passed directly before your eyes. It is a gossamer worm, a member of the family Tomopteridae, and it is very nearly invisible. Its body is a ribbon of living glass, perhaps 2 to 10 centimeters long, edged with rows of delicate paddles that beat like the oars of a phantom ship. Light passes almost straight through it. There is no shell, no scale, no dark silhouette to betray it. To the eyes of a hungry fish scanning the gloom, the worm simply is not there. Transparency is the oldest and most elegant camouflage the open ocean has ever produced. In a place with nowhere to hide, no rock, no reed, no shadow, becoming clear is the only refuge. Thousands of open water animals have discovered this trick, from jellyfish to larval fish to swimming snails. The gossamer worm has taken it further than almost any of them, refining its tissues until it borders on pure water-made flesh. And yet invisibility is never free. Every advantage in evolution carries a hidden bill, and transparency demands a strange and dangerous price. A clear body cannot conceal what it holds inside. Anything the worm swallows, anything with color, density, or worse, its own light, threatens to shine through that flawless glass and switch the animal on like a lantern. The very trait that makes the gossamer worm disappear can also, in an instant, expose it. This is the paradox at the heart of its existence. The perfect disguise contains the seeds of its own betrayal. To understand how a creature made of glass survives that contradiction, we must first look closely at the body itself, at the astonishing architecture that lets flesh vanish into open water without a trace. The secret of invisibility is not paint but physics. To vanish in seawater, an animal must stop interacting with light altogether, and the gossamer worm has spent millions of years perfecting exactly that. Its body contains almost no pigment, no bone, no dense structure to catch and throw back the faint light of the twilight zone. Instead, its tissues are built to let photons pass through with barely a deflection. Light travels through the worm at nearly the same speed it travels through the surrounding water. When two materials bend light identically, the boundary between them disappears. This is why a glass rod vanishes in a jar of oil, and why the worm dissolves into the sea. The Tomopteridae achieve this by keeping their bodies watery and thin, sometimes only a fraction of a millimeter thick across large regions. Their muscles are arranged in fine, ordered sheets that scatter as little light as possible. Their internal organs are shrunk, flattened, or made translucent. Even the fluid inside their bodies is tuned to match the refractive index of seawater, roughly 1.34, so there is no glinting edge to give them away. The paddles lining their sides, called parapodia, are equally clear, fanned out like sheets of cellophane. Some species keep only a few tiny points of color, the eyes, and a thin thread of nerve tissue, because those structures cannot function without absorbing light. Everything else strives toward nothing, but building a body from near nothing has consequences. Transparent tissue is fragile, and it offers no armor against the crushing pressures and hungry mouths of the deep. More critically, transparency is a whole-body commitment. You cannot be invisible in your skin while opaque in your gut. Whatever passes into that clear body remains, for a time, visible through it. And the twilight zone is full of prey that will not go quietly into the dark. Many of the small creatures a gossamer worm hunts carry a weapon that no amount of anatomical perfection can hide. A weapon made not of teeth or venom, but of light itself. That is the flaw we must confront next. In the twilight zone, an astonishing fraction of animals can make their own light. Estimates suggest that in some deep water communities, more than 3/4 of creatures are bioluminescent. Tiny copepods, glowing larvae, luminous plankton, and delicate jellies all carry chemistry that flashes, sparks, or burns with cold light when disturbed. For most of the ocean, this light is a language of warning, courtship, and defense. For the gossamer worm, it is a catastrophe waiting to be swallowed. Consider what happens when a transparent hunter eats a glowing meal. The prey is seized, drawn inward, and pressed into the digestive tract. But bioluminescence does not switch off the instant an animal is caught. Many organisms glow harder when attacked, precisely because their light is meant to summon larger predators to the scene. This is the burglar alarm defense. A captured copepod flares, hoping to attract something big enough to eat whatever just ate it. Inside a clear body, that light has nowhere to hide. It shines outward through the worm's glassy tissues, turning the invisible hunter into a drifting beacon visible across meters of black water. In an instant, the animal's greatest asset collapses. The creature that could not be seen is suddenly the brightest object in the darkness, broadcasting its exact position to every fish, squid, and rival predator nearby. The very act of feeding, of surviving, becomes an act of self-betrayal. This is the evolutionary crisis at the center of the gossamer worm's life. Transparency demands that nothing inside the body break the illusion, yet the ocean's most abundant food supply is made of living light. To eat is to risk glowing. To glow is to die. A creature caught in this trap has only two options. It can avoid all luminous prey, surrendering a vast portion of its food, or it can find a way to swallow light and smother it before it escapes. The gossamer worm chose the second path, and its solution is one of the strangest organs in the animal kingdom, a single scarlet structure that turns a lethal problem into invisible fuel. Look closely at a gossamer worm under the right light, and one feature breaks the illusion of glass. Deep within that clear body glows a patch of vivid color, a stomach and gut region stained a rich scarlet or crimson. In an animal that has stripped away nearly every pigment in a relentless quest for invisibility, this splash of red seems like a contradiction. In truth, it is the elegant solution to the crisis of living light. The red pigment lining the digestive tract acts as an internal blindfold. When the worm swallows a glowing copepod or a flaring plankton, the prey may continue to shine as it is crushed and digested. But that light must now pass through a wall of red tissue before it can escape the body, and red pigment, by its very nature, absorbs the colors it is not. Most bioluminescence in the deep sea is blue-green, with wavelengths around 470 to 490 nanometers, because those colors travel farthest through seawater. A red surface absorbs blue and green almost completely, soaking up the very wavelengths the prey emits. The glowing meal is effectively swallowed into a chamber that drinks its light. What would have been a betraying flash is quietly extinguished from within. The scarlet stomach becomes a light-proof digestion vault, letting the worm exploit the ocean's richest food source without paying the price of exposure. It is a remarkable inversion. The one opaque colored organ in the entire body exists precisely to protect the transparency of everything else. Some species concentrate this pigment tightly around the gut, wrapping the danger in a compact absorbent shell so that even a struggling, flaring prey item cannot leak light through the surrounding glass. Evolution has effectively built a darkroom inside a window. But this raises an obvious question. A bright red organ would seem the very opposite of camouflage, a beacon of color in a hunter that has sacrificed everything to disappear. Why would a creature obsessed with invisibility choose the boldest color in nature? The answer lies not in the pigment itself, but in the peculiar behavior of light in the deep, where red is not red at all. To understand why a scarlet stomach is the perfect disguise, we must follow sunlight as it sinks into the sea. White light from the surface is a blend of every color, but water does not treat those colors equally. As sunlight descends, the ocean strips it apart wavelength by wavelength. Red light is the first to vanish. Its long wavelengths, around 620 to 750 nanometers, are absorbed by water molecules within the uppermost layers. By 10 meters deep, most red has already been drained away. By 30 meters, red is essentially gone. Orange follows, then yellow, then green. Blue light, with its short wavelengths near 470 nanometers, penetrates deepest of all, which is why the underwater world glows in shades of blue. In the twilight zone, hundreds of meters down, there is simply no red light left to reflect. And here lies the trick. Color is not a property of an object alone. It is what happens when light bounces off a surface and reaches an eye. A red stomach appears red only because it reflects red wavelengths. But if there is no red light in the environment to reflect, the red pigment reflects nothing at all. It absorbs the blue and green that surround it and returns no light to any watching eye. In the darkness of depth, a scarlet organ becomes, functionally, pure black, an invisible void indistinguishable from the surrounding water. This is why so many deep-sea animals wear red, from shrimp to jellyfish to the gossamer worm's gut. Red is the cheapest black the ocean offers. The worm gains a pigment that absorbs bioluminescent blue-green light with maximum efficiency, while paying no cost in visibility because that same pigment vanishes into the dark. It is a double solution, both blindfold and camouflage in a single organ. The worm has turned the physics of the deep sea to its advantage twice over. But invisibility and clever chemistry alone do not make a predator. To hunt those glowing meals, to run down copepods in the open water, the gossamer worm must also move, and its method of locomotion is as remarkable as its disappearing act. Watch a gossamer worm move, and you abandon the idea of a worm as something slow. These animals are swimmers, built for speed and precision in open water. A tomopterid does not crawl or wriggle helplessly through the dark. It flies. The secret lies in a dual propulsion system, one that combines two entirely different mechanics into a single fluid motion. First, the body itself. A tomopterid worm bends from side to side in smooth, rhythmic waves, the same undulation that carries an eel through a reef, scaled down to a body often just 1 to 3 centimeters long, though some species stretch beyond 10. This lateral wave pushes water backward and drives the animal forward. But the undulation is only half the engine. Running down both sides of the body are rows of paddle-shaped limbs called parapodia. In tomopterids, these are unusually large and flattened, expanded into thin fins that catch and press against the water. Dozens of them line the flanks, and they do not move at random. They beat in coordinated waves, each pair firing a fraction of a moment after the one ahead, sending a ripple of paddling down the entire body. The effect resembles a centipede running, except the surface it runs on is the water itself. Together, the body wave and the parapodial beat make the tomopterid one of the most agile drifters of the twilight zone. It can accelerate in a burst, pivot sharply, or hold position with tiny adjustments of its fins. It hunts other zooplankton, small crustaceans, larvae, and fragile gelatinous prey, closing distance with a speed that a passive drifter could never manage. This matters enormously to survival. Invisibility hides a hunter, but only movement lets it strike, and only movement lets it flee. A predator that cannot see the transparent worm may still detect the pressure wave of a clumsy swimmer, so efficiency is everything. Every stroke is measured, every wave synchronized, yet speed and camouflage are not always enough. When a predator does close in, when the disguise fails and escape is uncertain, some tomopterids reach for a stranger weapon entirely. They fight the darkness with darkness's own currency, light. In a world built from darkness, light becomes both danger and defense. For the gossamer worm, the same glow it fears from its swallowed prey can be turned into a weapon of its own. Certain species of tomopterids possess one of the rarest tricks in the ocean. They produce their own bioluminescence, and they produce it in a color almost no other animal makes. Most marine bioluminescence glows blue or blue-green, wavelengths that travel furthest through seawater. But some tomopterids release light that shines yellow, a startling deviation first documented in detail in the 20th century and still not fully explained. This yellow glow does not radiate from the whole body. Instead, it erupts from the parapodia, the very paddles used for swimming. When a predator attacks, the worm can discharge a cloud of glowing particles or fluid from these limbs, spraying luminous material into the water around it. The purpose is misdirection. In total darkness, a sudden burst of light is disorienting and revealing. A predator lunging for the worm is confronted with a glowing cloud where its target should be. The worm, meanwhile, dims and darts away into the black, leaving the light behind as a decoy. The predator strikes at a ghost. Some researchers suspect the glow may also serve as a burglar alarm, drawing in larger hunters that might attack the attacker, turning the sea's food web into an unwitting bodyguard. The chemistry behind this light remains mysterious. The luminous secretion in some tomopterids appears to involve compounds unlike the standard luciferin systems found elsewhere, which is why the rare yellow color has fascinated scientists for decades. What is clear is the strategy. A transparent animal has spent its entire evolution avoiding detection, yet here it deliberately creates light to survive. It is a calculated gamble. Reveal your position for an instant, then vanish while the enemy is blinded. But light is not the only illusion in the tomopterid arsenal. When glowing sprays and swift escapes are not enough, a handful of species attempt something even bolder, transforming their very shape into something no predator wants to eat at all. When speed fails and light runs out, the Gossamer worm has one last trick, and it is a trick of shape. Some tomopterids, faced with a predator too close to outrun, do something extraordinary. They stop being worms. In a moment of threat, certain species curl their long, flattened bodies inward, folding their parapodia and drawing themselves into a rounded, drifting mass. The transformation changes their outline entirely. The sleek, swimming predator becomes a soft, formless blob suspended in the water, resembling one of the most ignored objects in the open ocean, a jellyfish or a fragment of gelatinous drifting tissue. This is mimicry, the final layer of survival in a sea, where being recognized means being eaten. The reason it works lies in the diets of ocean predators. Many hunters in the twilight zone actively avoid gelatinous animals. Jellyfish and their relatives offer little nutrition for their bulk. They can sting, and they are largely watery calories not worth the effort of a chase. A predator scanning the dark for a nourishing meal has learned to ignore anything with that soft, unappetizing silhouette. By adopting the shape of something worthless, the tomopterid hides in plain sight, not by vanishing, but by appearing not worth the trouble. It is a strategy of disguise stacked on top of disguise. First transparency, to avoid being seen at all. Then swimming speed, to escape when seen. Then a burst of decoy light, to confuse when caught. And finally, if all else fails, a shapeshift into an object the predator has been trained by hunger itself to reject. Each defense covers the failure of the last. Together they form a layered fortress of survival, each layer bought at a cost, each one shaped by relentless pressure over millions of years of evolution in the deep. And this is the truth that binds every chapter of the Gossamer worm's strange existence. Its invisibility, its scarlet stomach, its yellow light, its jellyfish disguise. None of these are separate inventions. They are all answers to a single, unforgiving problem, one that begins the moment a transparent animal tries to survive. Return now to the beginning, to the single paradox at the heart of the Gossamer worm. Transparency is the perfect camouflage. In the open ocean's twilight zone, between roughly 200 and 1,000 meters, there is nowhere to hide. No rocks, no seaweed, no shadows. The only refuge is invisibility itself, and evolution answered by dissolving the worm's body into glass, tissue so clear that light passes straight through, erasing the animal from view. But invisibility, we have seen, is never free. A clear body cannot hide what it contains. Swallow a glowing coke pod, and the light shines through, betraying the hunter as a drifting lantern. So evolution built the scarlet stomach, a pouch of red pigment that swallows the glow of living prey, a color that becomes pure black in a world where red light has already vanished. One solution demanded another. Yet even a hidden gut cannot save a slow animal. So the worm became a swimmer, driving forward with body waves and rows of synchronized paddles, fast and precise. When speed failed, some species learned to spray glowing yellow fluid, blinding attackers with the very light they had spent their lives avoiding. And when that failed, they folded into the shape of a jellyfish, hiding not by vanishing but by seeming worthless. Look at the whole picture, and a pattern emerges. This is not a collection of clever tricks. It is a single evolutionary arms race, each adaptation solving the problem created by the one before. Transparency created the glowing gut problem. The red stomach solved it. Vulnerability demanded speed. Detection demanded decoy light. Capture demanded disguise. Every gift carried a hidden bill, and every bill was paid with a new adaptation, layered over the last. The Gossamer worm is a living ledger of these trade-offs, a body shaped entirely by the cost of being unseen. It reveals a deeper truth about survival in the open sea, that no advantage comes without a price, and that the most elegant camouflage on Earth is also a chain of consequences. In the endless dark of the ocean's middle waters, the Gossamer worm proves a single, unforgiving lesson. Transparency is a deadly bargain.